Hey guys, so the first major thing I want to talk about with this episode is the flashback between Aizawa and Shinso. Because when I first read that little section in the manga, I kind of foolishly believed that Horikoshi was building upon the idea that from Shinso it was that Aizawa was training Shinso for the purpose of becoming his sidekick when he graduates. But between how he was reintroduced in this arc and the common through line of the series itself, it's definitely more building on the idea of Shinso being Aizawa's successor. And considering Aizawa's current circumstances in the manga, that's practically a guarantee at this point. And I know it sounds like I'm giving away a spoiler by saying that, but I'm actually not, because as you'll find out going forward the series, and by extension Horikoshi, he loves to tap into the idea of a fate worse than death, and that especially applies to what's going to happen to Aizawa later on. I can't say much more beyond that other than you'll know what I'm talking about next season, and it was in that single moment that I realized Shinso is Aizawa's successor. And yeah, this episode honestly kinda this episode kind of ended in a bit of an awkward place because it cut to the credits before the major reveal, which I don't think I'm spoiling all that much by saying this, but Shinso does basically qualify for the hero exam, for basically the hero course, which I was a little mixed on when first reading this for the first time in the manga. But like everything else in the series, I eventually realized the point of the exercise for Shinso wasn't whether or not he won or lost, but the entire thing was basically just kind of was assessing his potential as a hero. Like even when we cut back to those little moments with the teachers, with Vlad and with Midnight, with All Might, all those people, it was for the purpose of showing how that they were assessing his progress, and it was all for the sake of like seeing just how much potential he had as a hero. So it was little scenes like that was actually building to this moment here, and as in some as he and as Izuku himself even admitted, there were instances throughout this whole joint training exercise where in a lot of ways, well, pretty much Shinso I think outshined a lot of the students who are actually in the hero course, himself, Izuku included. Like this was definitely this between this episode and last episode, it definitely showed that yes, Shinso has the ability to become a hero, and honestly, I'm so happy for the guy because it's about damn time that man got his fucking dues. I'm just saying, like Shinso, even though Shinso's done a lot of stuff off screen, we haven't seen the man still deserves this. He's probably the one I think with he's probably the character I think with the most potential in order to become a great hero. Frankly, even more than Izuku in some respects. And yeah, this episode more or less marks the conclusion to this like joint training arc, and I know and for a lot of people, you're obviously glad this arc is over. It all felt like filler, but again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it especially now bears repeating now, especially now that the arc is over. Soak in this episode, and frankly, as many episodes within this arc as you can, because after this point, anything resembling normalcy for these characters flies completely out the window. I'm not joking. Like, shit is going to hit the fan non-fucking stop with this. There's gonna be no rest for basically the students of Class 1A, the heroes, basically every character you like. Yeah, all that shit is about to hit. All that shit, everything we love about this, everything we love is about to is about to change drastically. And yeah, on that note, as far as the next arc, well, prepare for a little something called My Villain Academia. That's all I'm gonna say. with that said, revisiting the fight between Shinso and Izuku in this episode gave me kind of a new perspective on more than a couple things I never really picked up on in this fight. First being, as I mentioned before, this battle in retrospect, while obviously meant to determine whether Shinso can be transferred to the hero course, can also be interpreted as like two successors trying to prove their worth to the ones who are guiding them, as well as wanting to in order to just measure their own current potential as heroes. Because while this fight in a lot of ways does mirror Izuku's fight with Shinso during the sports festival, they have also developed a lot since then, and the one purpose behind their fight to begin with is that they do want that they do want their individual progress to be recognized by the other. Shinso definitely a lot more than Izuku, but between this episode and last episode, we're seeing just how much of a greater respect that they have for each other's they've had for each other's strength since then, and have just tried to have used that as sort of their building block in order to grow stronger and stronger. Also, one thing I never really caught on to in this fight until now, in certain instances you can actually see both Izuku and Shinso were kind of on the same wavelength, in the sense where the entire time they were waiting. They've been studying everyone else's fights and always thinking, how can I incorporate or utilize this strategy in my own battle with him. So for as tedious and meandering as the others' fights could be at times, they did serve as a build-up for how Shinso and Izuku would technically approach their own fight. Also, the episode did provide a little bit of development for Aizawa, or just insight into where he's at as a character, because since the beginning of the series, he's always been that teacher at UA that, while his methods have been a little outside the norm, he still in a lot of ways has been a stickler towards the rules of Hero Society and the Hero School system. But as Vlad pointed out, just the fact that Aizawa chose to indulge him despite what happened shows he's changed and become more aware that there are some lessons that can't be learned in a classroom or a controlled environment. There are times where you do need to experience that unpredictability to truly grow. And it is something Aizawa has realized more and more, and it's something he wants for Shinso. He wants for Shinso, and he also wants to give... And Aizawa just wants to give him the full experience of what it means to be a hero and the dangers that come with it. But really, in a lot of ways, this whole fight was basically everyone at their peak. The high stress of the entire situation basically forced everyone to tap into their full potential of what they're capable of. And all of that was on display in this episode. Of course, in Izuku's case, though, he did manage to tap into Black Whip again. Even though Izuku managed to tap into Black Whip again, I did like how the same rules still do apply if you were using the base strength of One for All. You use too much too soon, and you damage your body. And yeah, obviously I can't really end this review without giving special mention to Ochako, because I absolutely love how even after capturing Monoma, she knew every precaution to take just so she couldn't fall into his trap. She basically restrained him in a way where she couldn't steal her quirk, and just in case he had copied Shinso's brainwashing, she responded to him wordlessly with like sign language in her hands. Like, again, very simple precautions, but it shows the main thing that Ochako has developed is her level of situational awareness and how to respond to certain threats like Monoma, and just how to approach a situation that where she feels she's facing maybe a villain who has a similar power or similar advantage like Monoma does, and I really like that. And even if she didn't know everything of how far Monoma planned ahead, she still knew the role she needed to fill in order to give Izuku that single chance in which to defeat Shinso. So, yeah, a nice little bit of development there. If I did have one issue with this episode, though, one issue, and it's kind of a nitpick, but it's something I still need to say, is that is with the recap. I haven't mentioned the recaps much because they're just kind of there, but the recaps have really, with this arc, have really been kind of bad. Like, I'm not gonna say it's pretty much on a level of something like One Piece's recaps. Those are still kind of the worst. Like, we don't need full 2 minutes, But yeah, the recaps in this arc have been kind of teetering on like a, okay, can you just kind of get with it, please? But yeah, I think it was for the fact that they wanted it for the fact of Bones just needed to fill time in order to perfectly adapt like this season the way they wanted to. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll, and be sure to hit the bell for notifications, and hit the notification button itself, and just share the video around, guys. Dead Knight of Une, signing off. Later.